All right, good evening, families. We are going to go ahead and get started. My name is Heather Deer, and I am the Assistant Director of Parent and Family Programs here at William & Mary. Thank you so much for joining us for our Parent and Family Programs webinar series. Before we get started, I want to run through some of our housekeeping rules, how you'll ask questions this evening, and we will use the Q&A function in Zoom. You will find it at the bottom of your screen labeled Q&A. You'll type your questions here in this box, and I will be moderating Q&A throughout our session. Before we get started, I do want to remind everyone that Family Weekend is this weekend. It's actually going to kick off on Thursday, September 24th. Here's an overview of some of the highlights of the schedule. The Family Weekend Welcome will be first. We have Beers and Cheers with the Virginia Beer Company, featured faculty lectures, open classes, lantern tours of the historic campus, and so many other completely virtual activities that you can join us from Reston, Vienna, Herndon, all the places you are joining us from. And so please be sure to check out our full Family Weekend schedule at www.wm.edu/Family Weekend. And so with that, I am going to turn it over to our presenter, Claire Forbes. She is joining us from Academic Enrichment, and she will take us through our presentation. Welcome, Claire.
Thank you so much. Hey everyone, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. If you'll just give me half a second. Okay. Thank you so much to all of y'all for taking time out of your evening to listen to my presentation and get to know what we do in academic enrichment programs a little bit more. My name is Claire Forbes. I'm the coordinator of academic enrichment programs here at William & Mary. You may be curious, I am not related to Forbes Magazine or Forbes Business Industries, for the record. I am also very new to the William & Mary community, so this is the first time I've been able to do something like this for parent and family programs, and I'm just really glad that I get to spend my evenings with y'all. So that you know what we're going to talk about this evening, I'm going to sort of give you an overview of what academic enrichment is, and then I'm going to really focus on two of our main programs, and that is how we help academic students who are on academic probation, as well as what the Tutor Zone is. So to get started, I thought it would be helpful to sort of give you an idea of our big picture goals. So this is our mission statement. Academic enrichment guides students to the completion of their academic goals by creating an accessible, responsive, constructive, learner-centered space for students to become active, independent, and confident learners. Our goal in academic enrichment programs is really and truly to give students the tools that they need in order to be successful. So in order to get there, we help students develop academic skills and strategies, strengthen their personal responsibility, and promote an understanding of both university culture as well as effective decision making. So you are aware, academic enrichment programs is part of the Dean of Students office. Specifically, we're in the thematic area of student success. It's normal for us to partner with people who are within the Dean of Students office as well, like Heather in family parent programs. But I do also want you to get to know our staff a little bit in our department. I always think that it's helpful to have a face behind a name, especially as we move forward navigating Zoom land. Obviously, you see that I am there in the middle. The director of our office and associate dean of students is Dean Marie Rodriguez. I also have the good luck to work with a coordinator of intervention and support services, David Nguyen. So we are the people who are behind the team in academic enrichment. To give you sort of an idea of some of the services we provide to students, I mentioned I'm going to talk a little bit more about our academic probation program so that you know that program is called Aspire. I'm also going to let you know that we work with students who are on academic warning. The difference between academic warning and academic probation is that academic probation is a pretty serious place to be, and you're sort of falling short of the academic expectations based on the number of semesters you've been at William & Mary, and that can be really scary. So we are here to help students sort of navigate that process and get out of academic probation. That's the goal. Academic warning then means sort of that you're on the cusp of being in academic probation. So we're not quite there yet, and we want to do what we can to make sure that you don't get there. So we intervene a little bit early, help students have tools that they need in order to be successful. Hold on, wrong screen. We also do individual consultations with students. This sort of varies based on student need, but it can include a consultation with someone in the office about some high-level time management skills. We also work with students to sort of figure out strategic learning plans. Oftentimes we find that students, whether they're new to William & Mary or they're just taking a class in a new area for them, maybe sometimes the skills that they're used to employing in classes in terms of note-taking, studying, preparation for exams, or even how to write a paper, the kind of strategies that they're used to using don't necessarily work super well for that class and don't necessarily maybe work well for their learning style. So we help students sort of troubleshoot in those situations and figure out the best way to move forward in a specific class. We also, in academic enrichment, oversee the Tutor Zone, which is our main program that we offer to students. We also work with students sort of throughout issues around their academic status and continuance. Academic status is sort of if a student is actively enrolled at William & Mary, if they are taking a full load of classes, if they are taking what's called an overload, so more than the required classes, or an underload, less than the required classes. And we partner with several people across campus to help students through that, as well as continuance. And continuance literally means moving from one semester to the next per your academic standing, and eventually to your degree completion. So in order to do all of this, we are fortunate in that we work with a lot of different wonderful people across William & Mary's campus. First and foremost, I do want to shout out to William & Mary Libraries, especially the wonderful staff that work in SWEM Library. SWEM is where the physical tutor zone is located, which again is our main program. That physical space is closed for this semester. We were not able to set it up to accommodate social distancing and sort of required COVID-19 regulations. It also is safer for us to just move all of our services online for this semester. So we are still actively working through everything students via Zoom. We are also grateful to the IT department at William & Mary. Unfortunately, I left them off this list, so note to self for the future. But we do also work closely with the Office of Academic Advising, some of whom also have libraries in, some of whom also have offices in SWEM Library. We also work closely with the Writing Resources Center. The Physical Writing Resources Center and the Physical Tutor Zone are located right next to each other in SWEM Library. Writing resources students do also go through extensive training in order to be able to work with students, similar to how we train our tutors in the Tutor Zone. So that similarity sort of naturally means that we work well together. We also partner with teaching faculty in a lot of different ways. Sometimes we have a student reach out to us saying, I really need help in this class. You know, I'm trying to work with the professor, but I'm still struggling. I think I need tutoring. Maybe I don't have a tutor in that class. I then turn to teaching faculty and say, hey, I'm trying to look for someone who can offer this student support in this subject. Could you recommend someone? Or maybe it's something even just like a faculty member will reach out to us in academic enrichment and say, hey, I'm having trouble sort of getting a hold of this student in Zoom. Can you either help me with this or something along those lines? So we work with faculty a lot as well. We also partner with those in the offices of health and wellness, particularly when it comes to mental health resources on campus, to make sure that we are referring students to the right places and getting them connected to various supports that they need. And we also partner with the athletics divisions here at William & Mary. Per very specific, I am not working in athletics, so I might get the language wrong, I apologize. But per different sort of athletic divisions, there's often like GPA requirements and things like that. So when an athlete is sort of struggling, they will often be referred to us through athletics as well. So I said that I would talk to you a little bit more about academic probation. So what is academic probation? When students are placed on academic probation, it is for two reasons. Either their GPA is below the minimum requirement for the number of semesters they've been at William & Mary, or they just don't have enough credits. So they get placed on academic probation. When that happens, we help students through our program called the Aspire program. The goal of the Aspire program is to really advocate for students and support them as they navigate this sort of a time that can be really downheartening. It can be difficult to be told, you are not meeting the expectations for whatever reason. And figuring out that reason and figuring out what's going on and why the student isn't able to achieve their academic goals is a really key part of the Aspire program and a key part of how we're able to support students. So part of the Aspire program does include helping the students sort of learn more about themselves and learn more about sort of what's going on, the best ways that they are able to learn, and how to be an advocate for themselves in the classroom. Sometimes I'm sure we all have memories of, being in a classroom setting at sort of any academic level and wanting to ask a question or wanting to ask for help and really not knowing how. We can help students learn how to do that too. As part of the Aspire program, students are required to complete different types of learning workshops. There's a lot of different offerings throughout the year, and they also are required to have an individual academic consultation. So as part of the Aspire program, they are required to meet with one of the staff members in the Academic Enrichment office. That way we can be sure that we're getting them connected to all of the resources they need, and also we can help them through this process of, okay, what's really not working for you? What can we do to help you move forward? Oops, there we go. Okay, so you were probably thinking, why do students get on academic probation? Especially if you're maybe the parent or family member of a first-year student, you're like, oh my gosh, but there are such strict admission requirements here. This is William and Mary. This is an excellent institution. Why are students struggling? Well, we were wondering the same thing. So we actually found out the top 5 factors that impact students sort of struggling in their classes. And the first one of those is, as I'm sure you can imagine, mental health. We did a survey for all students who went through our academic probation program, Aspire, last full year, so last 2019. And of all of the students who participated in the survey, 63% cited their mental health as being a reason they were struggling academically. 60% said that they were really struggling to become motivated. Just over half of the students said that they had a really low amount of energy. 42% said that they really were sort of lacking confidence in their classes, and 40% of students said that they were really struggling to manage their time properly. It's really helpful for us to know this in academic enrichment so that we can continually go back and reevaluate the kind of programs we offer to students on academic probation. That way we can be sure that we are meeting sort of the needs and making sure that we directly address really their biggest struggles and what's going on. Not every student, as you can imagine, will be on academic probation during their time at William and Mary. So this is the way we serve the students who find themselves on academic probation, but we also serve the entirety of William and Mary students via the Tutor Zone. The Tutor Zone was established in September 2011, so it's been around ever since then, and it's been continually growing. So in the Tutor Zone, our tutors meet with students in a one-on-one setting. They help students understand course concepts predominantly. This sometimes includes, asking questions that maybe they don't want to ask in class, or they feel like they really just haven't been able to understand it in class and they need somebody to go over it with them. But the goal of what tutors do ultimately is they want to help students become not only more comfortable with course concepts, but also they help students organize and prepare for exams and really help students develop their own problem-solving skills as well as independent thinking skills. For some more information about the Tutor Zone, we are nationally certified as an international tutor training program through CRLA. The really cool thing about tutors who achieve different levels of CRLA certification is that that is a certification for life. So they can take that with them in the future and work on any kind of tutoring thing. It also looks great on a resume when they're, seniors and starting to apply to jobs, and also when they're starting to apply for internships. Every year we provide around 3,500 hours of peer tutoring every year. We employ on average around 75 tutors. All of the tutors are undergraduate students, and that does fluctuate a little bit every year. And we are, as I mentioned, operating entirely online via Zoom for this semester, so all of our services are still available to students. To help you sort of get an idea of how the Tutor Zone has grown, I wanted to share this trend, and it is also including forecast. You'll note 2020 is gold. This is a COVID-free prediction. So if COVID hadn't happened, we were expecting around 4,250 hours of appointments being booked in the Tutor Zone. With COVID, who knows, right? We'll find out. It may wind up being much more, it may wind up being much less. We'll see. But this really shows you sort of the increasing demand over the past 8 years that students have really felt that they've needed the Tutor Zone services. So what kind of student goes to the Tutor Zone? Some information from the last spring semester for students who did receive tutoring services. The average GPA was a 3.21, which is not a bad GPA at all. 70% of total tutoring services offered covered STEM subjects. Most of the students who received tutoring were sophomores, but also juniors, also freshmen, and also seniors. So truly all across the board. My favorite fun fact is that a quarter of students who received tutoring that semester actually wound up making the dean's list. I think that that speaks a lot to sort of the different types of reasons a student might want to get tutoring. It's not just because they're struggling in their classes, but also to the impact tutoring can help have. These were the top majors that students came from. Of course, we do also have a number of students who are undeclared when they come for tutoring help. We also had students come for language assistance with whom English is not their first language. And we had 8 different first or home languages represented, which is pretty cool. So that's what we say we do. What do students say we do? Every time a student meets with someone in the Tutor Zone, we ask them to fill out a survey. So of all survey respondents, 98% have identified the Tutor Zone as a beneficial service. 96% said that it helped them increase their understanding of the subject matter after the tutoring resulting from it. 97% noted that their tutor encouraged independent learning strategies as well. I also have a quote for you that I just wanted to share. This is from, we call students who receive tutoring services in the Tutor Zone 2 Ts. So there's 2 tours, the Tutor Zone tutors, and there's 2 Ts who receive the tutoring. And this 2T said, the Tutor Zone has transformed my knowledge. Not only am I doing better in my class, but I am actually starting to enjoy the subject more. Coming to the Tutor Zone was the best decision I've made this semester. This quote always makes me feel warm and fuzzy on the inside, so I wanted to share it with y'all to know that students really do benefit from these services as well. So the Tutor Zone does offer some additional services beyond just tutoring in specific courses. Every single semester at William & Mary, every William & Mary student has access to one free time management session. A time management session is personalized. There are tutors and tutors who are specifically trained on how to do a time management consultation. It can be sort of big picture stuff like, I don't really know how to plan out my semester. It can be more detailed things like, I have a really crazy week coming up and I straight up don't even know how to start to think to go about it, and anywhere in between. We also offer peer academic coaching. This is a very new offering that's included in the Tutor Zone, and it is only offered to students by a referral basis. So students who may be right for the academic coaching program are referred to us from the offices that we partner with. And academic coaching is designed to be set up for the whole semester. So students who need coaching will meet with a coach once a week for the duration of the semester and really work sort of on a more long-term basis to build those independent skills, to build, you know, the strength and to create the toolkit that allows students to be proactive and make their own time management plan and figure out how to prioritize what's more important for me to do tonight, study for this quiz tomorrow, or do this 85-page reading for this other class, and sort of weave their way through that. But academic coaching is also valuable because it's a peer who's helping you, someone who's been in the same situation that you are, someone who has struggled and overcome it at William & Mary. But it's also nice to sort of have a peer say to you, you know, yes, you're here and you're a student and that's really important, but you're also a person, right? You know, what are you doing that makes you happy outside of class and that kind of thing. We do also offer English language assistance for students who feel like maybe they want to work on their English skills. We offer that. We also offer strategic learning workshops. This might sound a little bit familiar to sort of some of the offerings that the office provides as well. The difference here is that these services are offered by undergraduate students who are Tutor Zone tutors versus if you are having one of these meetings with someone in the office, your needs might be a little bit more specialized. We also lastly offer need-based scholarships for students who are sort of struggling financially to afford Tutor Zone services. I mentioned that the time management consultation is free. Otherwise, there is a fee associated with Tutor Zone services. It's $12 an hour. Most tutoring appointments are 1 hour. Sometimes they're an hour and a half. If it's an hour and a half, it's $18 an hour. But that can be a huge barrier to a lot of students. And we are not in the business in academic enrichment programs of stopping a student receiving a service they need. So we work really hard to be able to provide need-based scholarships to students who have financial need so that they can receive the services of the Tutor Zone at no cost. Students can apply for this on our website. It's a really easy application. We are really fortunate that last year we were able to provide over $8,000 in need-based scholarships to 163 students. And these are 163 students who otherwise would not have been able to have tutor help. So we're really grateful that we are able to do that. And that is something we're excited to continue to offer. That is all of the information that I have. I'm going to leave this slide up for a second. Please feel free to check out our website at wm.edu/academic enrichment. Please follow us on Facebook as well as on Instagram. If I have brought up anything that you want to have a longer conversation about, or maybe you're not comfortable popping the question in the Q&A box, please don't hesitate to reach out to me at tutorzone@wm.edu. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you so much, Claire, for teaching us about academic enrichment and the services that are offered. I'm going to go ahead and get us started with Q&A. Families who are on our call this evening, please do continue submitting your questions in the Q&A box. We will talk with Claire as long as we have time for, so please continue submitting those questions for Claire. First question I want to clear up, I've got this a few times and I think it would just be helpful right off the bat for us to talk about, do students have to pay for the Tutor Zone?
Yes, so I should have made it more clear. Thank you for that question. I really appreciate it. There is a fee associated with Tutor Zone services. For a 1 hour appointment, it is $12. For an hour and a half appointment, the longest appointment we offer, it is $18 an hour. Students are able to, as I mentioned at the end, apply for need-based scholarships to cover that. If you go to our website, you can just do wm.edu/tutors. All of that information is right there. There's an easy button for students to apply for need-based scholarships. They can also make an account to book our own to book their own appointment at the Tutor Zone. All they have to do is make an account and then they can select the class they need help in. They'll see the tutors who offer that class as well as who have availability, and they can book their own appointment right there.
Wonderful, thank you. The other question I have, is it free time management as in after school time, or is it zero cost time management?
Great question. Very important distinction. It is free as in no cost to the student, time management. But we can also, if you have a lot of free time and you don't know what to do with it, we can help you figure that out too.
Wonderful. How are students notified of academic probation or warning? And does it take effect the first semester their freshman year when students are likely facing some adjustment issues?
Absolutely. For academic probation, students are not placed on academic probation until the start of the semester in which they start to fall short of those standards. So the earliest possible time would be the second semester of their first full academic year at William & Mary, whether that's their freshman year or if they come in as a transfer student. They are notified of being put on academic probation in writing. They will receive a notice from the registrar's office, but they'll also receive a letter from our office, from Academic Enrichment Programs. It goes straight to their WM email, so as long as students are regularly checking their email, they'll be able to tell. Students can also look up continuance standards on our website. If you just go to, as I mentioned before, wm.edu/academic enrichment, there's continuance information on the side. They can see sort of, okay, if I've been at William & Mary for 1 semester, I have to have at least this GPA and I have to have passed at least this many credits. If they fall short of those standards, and it proceeds down for 10 semesters, if they fall short of those standards, they'll probably be able to tell, okay, I'm probably going to be on academic probation. If they're close to that GPA or they're close to that many credits, it's possible they'll be on academic warning. Good question.
How does a student contact the Tutor Zone for help?
Great question. I'm so glad you asked. You can email us at tutorzone@wm.edu. Students can go to our website at wm.edu/tutors. They can message us on Facebook. They can message us on Instagram. But the best way is via email. You can find all of that information on our website as well. We've recently actually revamped the website to try to make it more student friendly. So hopefully all that contact information is easy for students to find.
Okay, one question I have here, Claire, wondering if you're familiar with any updated PassFail policies this semester for juniors and seniors specifically.
That's a really good question. I know that last semester there was a new PassFail policy that was put in place as everyone sort of switched over to Zoom and via the new sort of once we realized COVID was a problem and students had to go home for the semester, that was an option that was given to students. I am not currently aware of a new academic policy put in place this semester. Given midterms in some subjects have already started, because it is a condensed semester and because some students are in hybrid classes, some are in fully remote, some are on campus. It's a big variety. I'm not expecting there to be a new policy announced for juniors and seniors specifically, but I could be entirely wrong and that could change. If there is a new policy like that, students will definitely get it in writing in notice to their email from probably the provost.
That would be who it's from. I do know that there was an update for academic freshmen and sophomores. It's related to one arts and sciences course, and I posted the link for more information on that. Actually, next week on October 1st, we will be talking in depth about that updated pass-fail change. Again, that is for academic freshmen and sophomores. We'll have Janice Zeman, the Dean of Arts and Sciences, with us to talk about that. But that website that I linked does go into specifics for upperclassmen as well in terms of what our normal changing a course to pass-fail policy looks like. Okay, we've answered that, and please do continue submitting your questions. I only see a couple here, and so we do have some more time with Claire. I see a question, is there a minimum hour required for the Tutor Zone? I would ask, is there a minimum time commitment, and if a student wants to sign up for tutoring, can they get tutored once, feel okay, and then discontinue tutoring, or do they need to have a minimum hour?
You don't have to have a minimum hour at all. Some students only use the Tutor Zone services for the free time management consultation. Some students come and they have a meeting with a tutor in a class that they're really struggling with and it's really beneficial, and they wind up actually setting up recurring weekly tutoring sessions with that same tutor. It's entirely up to the student and based on their need and sort of how they're feeling. The goal of tutoring appointments is, like I mentioned, to help students really build up their own independent thinking skills and problem solving skills. But I know, for example, when I was an undergraduate student, I took some really, really hard science classes. I was a history major, so science was like not my cup of tea in the slightest. And I would have really benefited from, quite frankly, weekly tutoring help. So if that's necessary for a student, that's great, that's fine, we can help them with that. But if they only need one meeting too, that's also fine. Sort of all across the board, there's no requirement.
On that theme, I just got a question about this, but I was wondering as well, if a student has a specific course that they're needing help with and there isn't a tutor in the Tutor Zone, are you able to connect students with resources to help them? And are there any options maybe that have changed? This is a two-part question. First part question being connecting students to resources maybe that the Tutor Zone doesn't offer, and second being how have services changed due to COVID-19 and given the increased challenges that we know our students are facing in this environment?
Both of those are great questions. If a student needs help in a class and they don't see it offered on the Tutor Zone website where they go to schedule a class, I definitely recommend emailing us at tutorzone@wm.edu. Oftentimes we're able to sort of look at the tutors that are currently employed and sort of see, you know, okay, hey, you actually took this class and you did really well in it. Would you consider adding this to the classes that you offer? I also will tell you right now, I'm in the middle of a hiring process. So I'm working to hire more tutors and add more classes and more sort of availability to students who need Tutor Zone services. So if it's a class someone is looking for, I definitely recommend reaching out right now, and hopefully we can get that added in as soon as we're able to complete a hiring process. And then the second part of the question was how has the need changed, or how have services changed?
How have services changed?
How have services changed? All of our appointments for the Tutor Zone are happening via Zoom. Zoom does actually have some really helpful tools that tutors have now been fully trained on that are helpful for things like tutoring. There is a whiteboard function in Zoom, which I didn't know for the longest time. It's really user-friendly, which is great. Students can also screen share with each other to see sort of resources and look over maybe texts or things that students are trying to work through. We do, if a student is, you know, in a place where they're struggling with Zoom, they can meet over the phone if they want to, but most students have been meeting over Zoom and it's been going pretty well. It's a really good question.
The next question, can an assigned tutor be changed if the student and the tutor maybe aren't connecting or it's not working well for them? Can they explore a different tutor?
Oh, absolutely. Students can book with any tutor that they would like to. They can make that decision online when they go on our scheduling platform. It's entirely up to them, and there's no hard feelings either way from the tutor or the tutee, whatever needs to happen. All of our tutors are trained to know that the most important part is that we're able to help students who come to us for help. And if that means that you're not the best first person for the job, that's okay. Somebody else will be.
My next question is, do you partner with student accessibility services at all for students who are registered with them?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. The wonderful people who work in student accessibility services and I work together all the time. I think I'm probably in conversation with them just about every day. I know that sometimes there will be students who have different kinds of accommodations through student accessibility services who maybe struggle to figure out how to book an appointment. I'm more than happy to help a student with that. Also, quite frankly, sometimes there are technical difficulties with like the back end side of things, and I can also fix that for students too. But yes, we partner with them very frequently. They're wonderful.
And I should say Student Accessibility Services is also part of the Dean of Students office, as is Academic Enrichment and Parent and Family Programs. So I get to see some of these interactions, and I know that our professionals who are working with our students, whether it's Student Accessibility Services, Care Support Services, Enrollment Management, all of these different resources within the Dean of Students office, they collaborate very closely, definitely. I've experienced that firsthand. My next question is, what are the overload and underload credit hours?
Great question. For a student to be considered a full-time student at William & Mary, they must be enrolled in at least 12 credit hours, no more than 18. Credit hours sort of vary from class to class. It's normal for a class to be 3 credit hours. Sometimes it's 4, especially if there's a lab component. Students can find all of that information if they log into their Banner self-service to look at the classes they're currently enrolled in. There are different processes through the Committee on Academic Status, I think, for students to request an overload, which is taking more than 18 credits, or taking an underload, which is taking less than 12 credits. And students are required to often write letters as part of that process. Thank you so much, Heather, for putting that link in the chat. That's super helpful. And if a student ever has any questions about like, hey, I know I want to take an underload or I want to take an overload, I really don't understand this process, we're here to help in academic enrichment. Part of our mission is to sort of help decode all of these university policies and sort of steps that students go to sort of make things happen. We're here to help with any of that. And also, if a student is sort of in a situation and they just don't know who to ask for help or they don't know where to turn, we are also a great first place to ask that question too. Because while we may not be the people who will have the answer or who will be able to help them through that process, we will know exactly who the student should turn to for help, and we can literally connect them right then and there.
I think that's a great point. I think as we're kind of in midterms right now, which feels a little strange this
Oh,
semester. It
yeah.
feels a little early to be in midterms, but we are. And I know that some of your students out there are experiencing maybe their first round of midterm exams, or, maybe this is their last round of midterm exams. And there's a chance that maybe those midterm exams aren't going to go the way they wanted them to because it's COVID and life is very different this semester. And I think it's important to understand that my colleagues here in academic enrichment can connect your student with a variety of resources that may be able to help them that's not just focused on their academics. So they're going to look at the student holistically and determine, what is going to be the most helpful for this student to help them succeed and maybe finish strong during this fall semester. I think that's a great point for sure. So I'm going to end us there, Claire. I'm seeing no more questions here in my Q&A box. But if you do have questions, please do reach out to us at families@wm.edu. The session was recorded and is going to be posted on our YouTube channel, most likely in the next couple of days as we prepare for Family Weekend. But Claire, will you leave us with any advice for families as they help their students this semester?
That is a really good question. I think I would give families and students alike sort of the same advice that I try to take myself. Zoom exhaustion is real, y'all. Y'all have sort of bared with me throughout this presentation tonight, and I'm really grateful for your time. One thing that I found really helpful that I tell every student I work with that I recommend doing after you're done with like a Zoom meeting, or you have class on Zoom, or you have something that happens virtually, get up and take a lap. Go sort of walk all around your room if you're a student, take a couple laps of your room. If you want to go outside and the weather's nice, take a lap around your building. I literally go outside and walk around the building that I live in after my meetings when I have time. And it just really helps me feel like, okay, I'm coming back to myself, I can recenter, and then I can be productive and move forward from there. Definitely recommend that.
That is fabulous advice. I know families have seen me a lot via Zoom lately. And so I'm sure, whether you're working from home or you're back in the office, you're probably experiencing some level of Zoom fatigue. So thank you again, Claire, for joining us. Thank you, families, for being with us this evening. And we will see you next time. Goodbye, everyone.